So today we're going to talk about probability, and that's something we really use that term a lot. So it's the likelihood that something's going to happen. And I want you to think about things that might be impossible, but then we go all the way over to things that might be certain. So sometimes it's an even chance, like flipping a coin. Is it going to be heads or tails? And sometimes it's an unlikely event, like what's the probability I'm going to roll a 3? Well, there's 1 in 6 chances because there's 6 sides to the dice. Or maybe I'm selecting something and a certain color out of something, and there are 4 and 5, so it's pretty likely that it's going to happen. But let's look at some places where we use that. What's the probability that it's going to rain today? Well, here's the weather forecast, and yesterday it definitely rained, but today it's 0%. So today, rain is 0%. It's not going to rain today. Now that doesn't mean that it couldn't, but it's probably not. And there's a 10% for tomorrow. So it's very unlikely that it's going to rain tomorrow. Now, would you say it's impossible that it's going to rain today? No. But it is very, very unlikely. And it's unlikely that it'll rain tomorrow, but not as unlikely. There's other things that we do. It's like, what about winning the lottery? So let's Google that. And I Googled the probability of winning the lottery. And it's 1, and this, I'm not sure exactly which this is, but it's about 1 in 14 million. So I have 1 chance out of 14 million. Not very good. Let's look about what's the probability of being struck by lightning. Well, that's 1 in 700,000. So I have a greater chance of being struck by lightning than I do of winning the lottery. So how many things in life are certain? Well, there is a saying that there are only 2 things in life that are certain, and that's death and taxes. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know that I'm going to die someday, probably, and that I do have to pay taxes unless the government fails. That is certain. Or maybe I go off grid and go into hiding. I don't know if they'd come looking for me or not. So are there some things that are impossible? It's pretty impossible that I'm going to play professional football. That's not going to happen. But what if football gets pretty desperate and they say, hey, for $100,000 or $10,000, you can live your dream and go play a game on your favorite professional football team. Then if I had the money, I could do it. So it is very, 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 very unlikely. But, is it impossible? I'd still say it's pretty impossible. So let's think about what probability is. We've got it down to a math formula. So it's the number of favorable outcomes over the total number of outcomes. So how many that make it true over how many total there are. So when I'm flipping a coin, what's the probability that I'm going to get heads? Well, there's 1. So we put the event that we're looking for in the parentheses. So there's 2 sides to a coin. So that's my total. And one of those will make it heads. So I can say 1 over 2. If I say 1 divided by 2, I'd get 0.5. And then I make that a percent. I'd move the decimal 2 places. Remember a little Dr. Pepper. So 1, 2 to make it a percent, going from decimal to percent. So it'd be 50%. Okay, I got a 50-50 chance, half and half. So let's think about the scale. So if I have and using percentages, if it's impossible, that's going to be 0%. And then I can go all the way down to that it's certain. That's going to be 100%. Okay? And so everything in between, so this would be going back and making this from a percent to a decimal. That's going to be the number 0. And if I do this one, it's 1. So it's the odds are between 0 and 1. Or the probability is between 0 and 1. We're going to talk about odds tomorrow. Okay? And you can see that because both of these numbers at 50%, it's between 0 and 1. Okay, let's try a worksheet. Remember, this right here is what you're doing. Favorable outcome, what makes it true over total outcome.